Hi, I'm Beth Almerini. I'm a non-dual Kabbalistic healer and now a teacher. I began studying this work about 16 years ago. And, I've learned a few things. So I'm very excited to be able to share it. In my civilian life, I'm a hospice nurse and end-of-life doula. And this work really informs that beautifully. So welcome. And I'm really looking forward to this today.
Yeah, my name is Tadeja Bradaš, and I'm a spiritual healer and a teacher and a therapist, practicing non-dual Kabbalistic healing. I've been involved with NKH for over 10 years, first through my own study and then teacher training and being involved in community and Foundation for Non-Duality that senior teachers and Jason Schulman founded 7 years ago. And I'm very excited for this webinar to happen today, and even more for bringing non-dual Kabbalistic healing to this part of the world, because this webinar is one of the webinars Beth and I are planning to do while gathering the class of non-dual Kabbalistic healing that we hope we will start next year in September here in Slovenia. Beth?
Okay. So even though life has been online for a while now, I still kind of find it takes a little more effort to feel connected in a group like this. So I'd really just like to invite you to maybe bring your whole self here, bring your focus and your intention, so that we can all be here together and create, a nice strong container. And I would also invite you to try and not check the email and read the text messages. I know that's a thing I do. So if we could just maybe put that away, I think it'll help all of us kind of be here more. And finally, I was going to suggest that we all just sort of look at one another in our little boxes and acknowledge our presence, but a lot of people don't have their video on. So I guess we'll just have to imagine looking at one another and just spending a little time, and it's cool because nobody knows you're looking at them, so you don't have to feel self-conscious. So just welcome each other here. Okay.
Yeah, and I have another idea or request, because from the registrations that I've been following for the last couple of weeks, I realized that there are people here from many different places. So if you can just, a couple of you or all of you, just one at a time, tell your name and the country you come from, so that we kind of, start to feel how wide open this space is. And I'll start with me. I'm Tadeja from Slovenia. Just unmute yourself. And
I'm Louise from London, UK.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Louise.
Hello.
Dominic from Slovenia.
Hi, Dominic.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Ivana from Belgrade.
Ciao, Ivana.
Hi.
Hi, Ivana.
Hi, on this side, we are here, Alia and Danila, but we are temporary without video, so we will join you just audio. But thank you for welcoming us.
Oh, thank you.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry.
Please carry on.
Hi, I'm Gregor. I'm from Slovenia. I'm walking in the mountains currently, but I'll be attuned with my hearing, so I'll turn off my video later on. Hi to everybody.
Hi.
I'm Sheila. I live in New York City, which is the opposite of hiking in the mountains while doing a webinar.
Great.
I'm Charles from a Veridis, UK.
Hi, Charles.
Hi.
Hi, I'm
States in
Reza
Connecticut.
from
Oops.
Slovenia.
Okay. There were two at the time.
Hello.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Yeah, go on.
I don't know if you guys are. I'm Irma,
Hi, Irma.
and I'm walking through a golf course,
Oh,
and happy to be here.
hi. Okay, just take 2 or 3 more.
Natasha from Slovenia.
Hi.
Natasha, hi. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's it, Beth.
That's it. Okay. Well, so on we go. So what is awakening? I have to apologize ahead of time if I look like I'm, reading, because I sort of am, just to keep myself centered. So what is awakening and what is kindness? And what do they have to do with each other? Let's begin with awakening. We often think that spiritual awakening is a goal or a thing or something separate from ourselves that exists in some other place. And whatever place that is, it's not in our messy and complex lives. We imagine that awakening is something that we have to work really hard to reach, that it involves arduous spiritual practices like long meditation or chanting or quieting the mind or merging into the oneness of the absolute, some sort of thing that's not our everyday life. But what if awakening is actually something else entirely? What if awakening is actually our birthright and is as simple as becoming what we already are, an imperfect human being? This is kindness itself in action. So let's try and leave some of our preconceptions behind and look at what actually is. And through that, the healing and awakening, which can arise directly from the cultivation of kindness. So how often do we feel separate, alone, disconnected from other people, from life, from the universe? I would say that it happens so often that many of us think that that is just the normal state of being for humans. Then somehow, in cases, we have another experience, an experience of realizing that we are deeply and intimately connected to one another, to the universe, to the nature. And this realization is what awakening is. It is coming out of the trance of believing that we are separate only human beings. We forget that this feeling, this experience of awakening is also a normal part of being a human. The sense of knowing that we are more than we usually think of ourselves. And once we have an experience like that, there really is no turning back. And I can share a little bit about an experience I had that was like this. I was diving in I don't know, in the night with a beautiful full moon, and went down to like 40 feet underwater. And something made me just look up while I was sitting on the bottom, and you could see the moon, you could see everything. And all of a sudden, it was like I was there, but not. Okay. I could feel the water just going for miles. I could feel the sand. I could feel the moon. It was one of those experiences that you just never forget. And this too, again, is a normal part of everyday life. I don't know, has anyone else had this sort of an experience ever? Yeah, raise your hand, maybe. So I'm not the only one. Okay, good. I don't know, maybe we can listen to one or two. Who would like to share? Oh,
I'm happy to share.
oh, thank you, Louise.
It was actually in water as well. And I was sailing with friends and sat on the front of the boat. And I think whilst my friends were all drinking at the back, I was just looking out the front, and I saw a turtle swimming, and it just sort of like, it swam alongside the boat and then went down. I had exactly that sort of feeling of feeling incredibly connected. And when I told them all that I'd seen the turtle, they were like, no, you didn't, obviously. And I was just like, I did. And also I felt so connected to sort of, like you say, everything.
Mm-hmm.
And nature in that moment. And it was a very grand feeling.
Yeah, it is. It is. Anyone else?
In my special place in nature, it's on a river in some woodland. Actually, the road is only 10 meters away, but you would never know. And there's a very special sound when you sit very still and just listen and go beneath the depth of the roar of the water. There's another sound which you hear. And for me, that's like hearing the center of the earth. It is quite incredible.
Mm. It's interesting that a lot of these experiences seem to happen around water. I don't know, has anybody had one of these that wasn't water related, or is is that it? Is that what we all need, is just to go get down by the water? Okay, well, then that's the answer. Oh, Sheila, thank you.
I most often have these experiences when outdoors, not necessarily at water. I think it's easier sometimes with water, but I've had it with, especially with trees. It's like a perception suddenly. Everything is very, very crisp. Like every leaf on the tree, the bark, everything feels, it's like there's a sudden shift in perspective where it's like I could swear that everything was alive when I hadn't noticed it before. And it's almost palpable.
It is. So now we realize that awakening to our most authentic, whole, and true selves is actually the most natural thing that we do, because it is our true nature. And just as a little aside, today and I are deliberately using the term awakening and not talking about an awakened moment or the awakened or enlightened self, because that would imply, again, that this is something we aim for and reach for. And once we get there, okay, we're all good. We're awakened. But no, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a process. It's an ongoing process and sort of a constant, constant, oh,
Let me check.
yeah, maybe you can
Yeah, mute. Maybe I can mute them.
Brina, you have your microphone on.
There you go. Could just say that. Okay. So, oh, this is really, okay, there we go. So anyway, an ongoing process where we have these realizations, these awakenings, and then we're asleep to it. It just alternates. So the awakening wholeness of reality, if you'd like to call it that, calls to us. And we experience it as a yearning or a knowing. And we want to feel happier, to feel fulfilled, to be on our path and know who we are. We want to feel real, to know the truth, open our hearts, to be compassionate, and to live fully, including all the obstacles we encounter along the way. So again, we usually realize this through having had a sacred, spiritual, or mystical experience where we transcend our everyday lives. It can happen spontaneously, or it can happen through the work of some spiritual matter. It doesn't matter, really. So this feeling can sometimes last for days or hours or months, or, you know, in the case of some of us, minutes. We take what we can get. And eventually it doesn't. And we return to old patterns or feelings. But the thing is, from that moment, we try to return to it, try to replicate the conditions that brought us to that awakening moment. So we look for a teacher, maybe we leave for an ashram or a vision quest or pill. And one of them is, as I said before, that many spiritual traditions teach that awakening will eventually arise through whatever spiritual practice they have to offer. Meditation, fasting, silencing the mind, or all these things, as if awakening was something out there that only these practices can bring us to. The idea behind this is that to reach awakening or enlightenment, we need to eradicate and get rid of the thoughts that circulate through the mind of our personal selves, or everyday selves, and transcend or eradicate the ego somehow. So this is great if you're up for leaving your life and everything you know, including an awareness of your own self, behind and living in a monastery or an ashram or wandering the Himalayas, to have a quiet space, to be separate from the world and focus only on practicing. But not everyone can do that or even really wants to. And of course, even if you are in some space apart and experiencing awakening or oneness, you still have to deal with that monk whose chewing drives you crazy during dinner, right? Unless you're a hermit all by yourself. You have to come back. We always have to come back to the world of our everyday lives, or the world actually of duality or two-ness. We can't eternally live in oneness. So people, you know, like us, I guess, who can't go on an eternal retreat, are looking for a way to be awakening here, in the midst of our everyday lives that include work and finances and families and, you know, rowdy puppies and floods and all the things that humans need to deal with. So if that's going to work, we need to find a different paradigm, some other way than going on eternal retreat and leaving the world behind. Tadeja?
Yeah. And we all have preconceptions and ideas of how we should be, how it should be, like, you know, we put things in boxes, we sort them, we organize them. And from that limited view, we develop a pattern of relating with ourselves, with others, with the world. And kindness is many times distorted and twisted under excuse of cover up, of politeness, of it's by mistake directed into I don't know, being philanthropic, always giving money away to the needy, volunteering. I'm not saying that these are bad things. We all feel well if we help someone in the need, but that's not kindness, not true kindness. We also have heard of random acts of kindness, like Mother Teresa. She dedicated her life to give others. And there are many more, you know, some we know worldwide, some we know locally. But here we are aiming for becoming who we already are. And that we don't have to access that, you know, I don't have the word for it right now. It got away out of my head, that high level of purification of purified self that is, you know, always giving. Well, we block and separate ourselves from parts of ourselves in order to live this life thinking that this will keep us safe. And the problem is that a lot of systems that we have in place for this purpose are developed by us. And they were developed when we were quite young and immature, and when we didn't have the information and that we have now. We didn't have this wider view of life that we have now that are adults. And we didn't know differently. And the system around us didn't support us. And then we developed the system that was working at the time, but it's not working anymore. Thing is that a lot of systems that we developed to save ourselves, to keep ourselves safe in the past when we were children, they're not really working anymore. Some of them are even driving us crazy. And let's look at some cycles that we end up in that are results of our belief systems that are repeating again and again and again. You know, for example, we have plans and then suddenly they evaporate before we manage to get to them, before we get to the point of trying to manifest some of those plans. They are just gone. You know, we grasp onto something again and again and again, or we pile things. You know, we pile things, we pile knowledge, we pile friends. One of such things is modern social media, where people are after likes. You know, they have millions of likes, but they're still alone. We create structures. And no matter what we do, we all have circles that bring us back to the same place, back to the same pain. Because our lives are full of these beliefs that are limited and filled with preconceptions of how we should be, how it should feel, and how it should look like. We are simply trying to be someone who we are not, and this is not kind. Being who we are is kind, and this is the kindness that Beth and I are going to talk with you today. And I would just like to read you a sentence from Jason's book, the instruction manual for receiving God, from the page 25, that says, being completely human means we act with kindness, not because we have learned it from a book, but because our nature is kind. So let's look now from a bit different perspective, what is kindness? And in order to get there, I would just like to think loudly about some misconceptions that we have about kindness. And you know what? I'm inviting you, if somebody can think about misconception about kindness, just unmute yourself and say it. So what do you think? What is misconception about kindness? Can you think about one?
I could say that and you never say no to people.
That's a good one. Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I might say, like, thinking that it has to cost you.
Interesting. Yeah. One or two more.
Maybe something to do with needing other people to see your kindness.
Mm-hmm. Investing in, yeah, that's also a good one. So
yes, also maybe conditional love.
Yeah, it would go into that category. Yeah. Yeah. So let me read a couple of them that I have written down. Being sweet to everyone. Always finding something positive in a situation, like, silver lining in whatever happens. Everlasting giving. Being always generous. Being always nice. Being always friendly. Are you familiar with some of them? Just raise your hand. Yeah. And at certain moments, they actually give us a good feeling that we are kind and that we are a good person. But because it's ongoing and going and going and going and going, we get exhausted. Sometimes we get frustrated. Sometimes we get angry. Did anybody get angry with themselves because they're always kind and friendly and giving? Yeah. So let's look now at what a true kindness means. And I'm again inviting you to just, open your mics and say what you think. What could be a true kindness?
Being kind to yourself.
Perfect. How about being honest?
Yeah. Maybe being gentle.
Definitely. Yeah. taking responsibility for our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions. Inclusiveness. Being conscious about our actions. Being in relationship with what actually is, being with the truth. Well, I'm aware that some of these terms might seem even abstract to you. And for some of these terms, you might think, well, I'm doing that. I am that. But from non-dual perspective, it's like what Beth was talking about at the beginning, this moment of spontaneous moment of awakening. When you're just there and everything is there, you don't filter, you don't say, oh, this is good, oh, this is bad, oh, this is light, oh, this is light, this is dark. This is being with the truth. This means you're kind to yourself. And in order to understand kindness, it's also very important to talk about what is the opposite of kindness. Do you have any ideas what would be the opposite of kindness? Again, you can just open your mics and name it.
When I don't trust myself.
Mm.
And what do you do when you don't trust yourself? Do you hate yourself because of that? Are you harsh with yourself?
I think I'm draining myself out.
Draining yourself out, yeah.
There's a lot of kind of should and like what's the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Self-judgment.
Yeah, or even of others, it's like that's or trying to fix those things rather than kind of be with them.
Yes, being overly critical. And then behind that being overly critical is you're very smart about what's the right thing and what you can do and what others should do. Yeah. Harshness is definitely opposite of kindness. I should have this or that, and if I don't, cruelty. Okay.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm giving it to you.
Oh, you are? Okay, good. So let's explore awakening into the true self from a different way, from the perspective of developing a relationship that goes beyond and includes the personal ego and impersonal oneness. How are awakening or being God realized and healing the mind, body, and spirit the same thing? When we stop aiming for becoming something in the image of our preconceptions and ideas, when we stop struggling to become pure and untouchable, we actually step on the path of true awakening, the path of true healing. True healings is about becoming more touchable and more relatable. It is not about reaching some state of bliss when there is no pain and suffering. It is about being with our pain and suffering, being kind to ourselves with that pain and suffering. It means, again, to be completely human, to let everything in, let it all be there, and be able to relate to it with the kindness that we all deserve. So just a little quick review. some of the misconceptions about awakening, that it's somewhere other than where we are, that it's something we have to work hard at, that it happens once and for all misconceptions. The true reality is that it's an ongoing process and includes openness to the totality of who we are and what life is. It's all inclusive. We can stay right here in the regular world with our family and our work, our hobby, but we change and expand our consciousness and learn to open our hearts. On this path of awakening, we need to build those muscles, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, that help us deal with the impermanence of the known and our inability to be in relationship with the mysteries of life and death. Awakening. Now, this is another passage from Jason's book, Instruction Manual for Receiving God. And I believe it's page 21. Awakening is the birthright of every created being. To know God is our destiny. Or, if God is not appealing to you, you can substitute whatever, the universe, creation. But what would it feel like if you realize that from the very beginning, we were designed to look for, to find, and to receive God, that you were designed to awaken to reality? How would it feel to know that this would definitely happen in your lifetime because you were made to accomplish this very thing? So I think those are beautiful and important words. And why don't we try a meditation to kind of help, integrate them, bring them into ourselves a little bit more. So just get comfortable. I guess even if you're walking in the woods or the mountains, find some comfortable spot. And if you can, maybe close your eyes and just listen, just hear this passage, that awakening is my birthright. So just sit silently and breathe for a few minutes. Now, say this to yourself silently. Awakening is my birthright. It is the birthright of every created being. To know God, to know the wholeness of reality, is my destiny. I am designed, made to look for, find, and to receive God, to awaken to reality. Now, just for this moment, I'm going to allow this in, to take it as being true. It is true. Now, as you let yourself feel this and take it in, many things will drop away. These are the things you no longer need. Try to let them go. Be with what is left. Because what is left is the answer you were looking for. And the reason you were born. Just be there for a few minutes and take it in. And so very gently, just bring yourself back to this place, to wherever it is that you are. Oh, okay. So would anyone like to share about what that was like or what came up for them?
Just open your mic and.
Oh, yeah.
So I struggled because I started getting anxious because I wasn't feeling what I thought I should be feeling.
Hmm.
And then I got tripped up and I couldn't settle.
Oh,
That's an interesting one. It's actually right on the spot what we talked about, how many shoulds we have in life.
how many preconceptions we have about yeah, what we should be feeling or what it should look like.
So just a second, Dominique.
Yeah.
So, what did you feel, Sheila?
Like I was getting it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
What's the beginning? It was the something, can you read the first sentence again?
Sure. Awakening is my birthright.
The next sentence.
Awakening is my birthright. It is the birthright of every created being. And to know God, to know the wholeness of reality is my destiny.
I think that's when I started tripping up. And then after, like, because then I started arguing. I did, because I was like, but then I started thinking about the definitions of, different equivalences of God, to know God. And then I just kind of went on a tangent.
Yeah. So maybe next time don't use word God, just use word, life or reality or universe, whatever is closer to you and has less pain and judgments and ideas. Yeah. So Dominique, you wanted to share as well.
Yes. In the beginning, first the feeling came. It was like, oh my God, I already arrived. I don't have to arrive somewhere. But then the man came up, and it was like processing. What I am talking, what I am feeling. What kind of feeling is this? Is it something new to me, or you know? But in the beginning, it was like wow. And after that, you know, I quickly lost this feeling, and the man was more there, like more than this feeling. So
It's
like this.
It's interesting, Dominic, and everybody, how difficult it is to be in a state where we feel good. Does anybody has problem with that? You know, how quickly we leave this room of feeling good and, you know, start mess with the things that make us feel, oh, I shouldn't do this, I shouldn't do that. It's just something to remember, to know that we are so used to have harshness and critics and all these shoulds in our life that part of us maybe doesn't really, you know, believe that it can be good and easy and beautiful, but it can.
I started because you said sort of every being, I started thinking about my dog and how she was. There's a big part of her that's very clearly connected, and another part that's not, because she is both very sweet and kind of angry. And I sort of realized that I may be slightly better at, instead of thinking about my self being connected, I'm quite quick to start thinking, you know, in this scenario, like, oh, how we're awakened, like I'm quickly thinking about, oh yeah, there's someone else. I mean, in this case it's my dog, but someone else is connected like that, or someone else is connected like this. But this moment was a little bit, you know, perhaps there was the idea we could be focused on ourselves, but my instinct is to sort of slightly not do that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't apply to you?
I suppose perhaps in this moment my mind was just wandering. It does apply, and I actually have had, you know, those experiences, but it was quickly wandering to how other people are connected, or I might not be using the right words, but you know, that's, I have a tendency, I think, to do that.
Well, it's good to know how we operate in the world, and it's important for us from time to time to make a pause, to stop and to do a meditation like this, so we can, you know, allow the voices that are speaking to us and showing us some elements of how we live our lives.
Yeah.
Because when we know those elements, we can relate to them.
Yeah.
And we can be kind to them. Like Beth is kind to her dog Lucy, although she's all over the place. Isn't that so, Beth?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Yep. I could share my experience as well. Well, when we started with the word awakening, I immediately saw that I couldn't find myself in that. So I saw that awakening might not be what I'm looking for. And then the word clarity came into my mind and said, okay, clarity, yeah. I have a birthright. Clarity is my birthright. And then all of a sudden, you know, I saw myself meditating in order to gain that clarity. Like I have to reach it, you know, I have to struggle for it to create that clarity within me, you know. Clarity means for me to be free, you know, to perceive the whole universe and not be strained in any kind of way in my being, my mind. So yeah, that was a very positive experience to see that clarity can be is my birthright.
Yeah.
And then there's all the other stuff can fall away. I don't need to have it.
And what do you mean by other stuff?
Preoccupation in my mind about how I should do something, what am I supposed to do, and then other people, you know, in relationships, what I should have done, what I should have communicated, should have done something differently, and then other stuff like business, you know, taxes, all that stuff. I have a whole conglomerate of to do, you know, in my head, and how I should do it, and what I didn't do, and what I should have done better, or whatever, you know, or in the future, how am I going to solve that?
Wow.
And clarity is preventing me from being peaceful with myself and even going into a task, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you definitely named a long list. Must be very tough. Huh?
Yeah, that's why I meditate twice a day.
Yeah.
It's like my medicine.
Yeah. Although I would think about, you know, why you switched from awakening to clarity, you know. Maybe, you know, find a healer or someone you can talk to, maybe, you know, Beth or me, because that would be interesting to investigate, to look into, you know.
Yeah, like a project. A science project.
No, it's just, you know, a working of, because, you know, clarity can be a good thing. But then what do you do when the clarity doesn't come?
Well, I don't know if it's my birthright. I don't know how it will be in the future. It's only the how I felt and how I sensed myself within my body and my mind when we did this exercise. So I have no idea of how this will implement in my future endeavors, you know, when I'm caught in not knowing what to do, you know, or just being under stress, or tension in any way.
Yeah. It's good to be awake to that, that this can happen, you know, that you can see how clarity can bring stuff in your life, you know, some peace, some direction, some power. And at the same time, that there are moments where you will not be able to get this clarity, and still staying here, staying kind to yourself, staying kind to the world that didn't bring you the clarity. It's important. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Good. Thanks for sharing.
Welcome. Thank you.
Do we take one or two more, Beth?
Yes.
Anybody else wants to say something? Brina?
Oh, I'm open. I didn't see it. Yeah, I just felt like really deeply despair. I just felt a lot of despair. And it felt like a hole. And I was just researching it, feeling it, allowing it. And I felt lost. Just that.
In the meditation.
Yeah.
How was that? How was feeling lost like?
Like lost in a hole. I was just like experiencing myself in this moment with a lot of thoughts mingling, like, and then I just went into my heart and I just grabbed the first feeling that was able to be grabbed. And I never before felt so much despair. And I just dived into it and I allowed it to be felt. Yeah.
Was it good for you that you allowed yourself to feel that despair?
Yeah. Yeah, it was because it made me feel really fragile and my mind could not do anything to make it easier. And at the end, because of this allowance, came a relief.
It feels like that when you talk about it, that it was good to stay with what was there, with no judgments, just it's here.
Yeah, I feel almost like tears.
Yes, it is. It is a very tender moment. Okay. Okay, Beth.
Okay.
I think we said what we wanted to say, huh?
I think we did.
Oh my God. And we said we are going to talk for 2 hours. Jesus, we have to prepare more. Oh.
I guess so.
Yeah. Although we have some more things to share with you. It's just, you know, a little out of the theme. You know. We would just, you know, if there is nothing more you would like to share or add to today's theme, awakening through kindness, we would like to dedicate this space as much as you need it and as much as we are able to, you know, still give it to you. I mean, it's still, it's the first time Beth and I are doing something in pair, you know. So it's rather a new experience for us, and I love it. But what we also would like to talk with you today is about non-dual Kabbalistic healing training coming to Europe. And this is the opportunity for you to ask some questions, for us to give you some answers. You know, and there is no limits. I just said to Beth before we all started, we met 1 hour earlier, and I said, well, I will tell them that they can ask me anything they want, and then I'll decide whether I answer or not. So this is the moment. Who is thinking about starting non-dual Kabbalistic healing training here in Europe? Just raise your hand if you're one of the person. Because I know a couple of you have been in contact with me that, yeah. Who doesn't know yet that they would like that, but are intrigued? Yeah. Okay. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, good. Good. So do you have any questions? Like where it's going to be, how this is, you know,
How it works.
how it
What
works.
it's all about.
Yeah. Oh my God, Beth. We have
I don't know. What do we do when, you know what, we're going to have to plant people next time, I think, you know, for answer questions.
Dominic, you unmuted yourself. You have a question?
Please.
Am I really prepared for something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear that you are not prepared.
Am I really prepared for something like that?
Oh, yeah. I can understand the question. And, you know, that's for all. Because I had people asking me, but how much this costs? And I said, you know what? Just send us your application first, because this is the sign of you are interested and the opportunity for us to meet with you and talk with you and figure out together whether you are prepared for such work or not. You know, it's a process. This non-dual Kabbalistic healing is not something you apply like, you know, a driving course or a dancing course. It's a path that will change your life deeply. And that's why Beth and I want to make sure that people that come to training
Are ready for that.
are ready
Really.
for that. Yeah. And I know of some of my colleagues that did the training with Jason. I know particularly one person that Jason declined, I think 3 times before he allowed them to come to the training. And they were very upset about it. But at the end, they realized it was the best thing that happened to them, being, you know, rejected once, twice, 3 times, and then accepted. It was important for them to go through that process, to wait another year and then one more and one more. So it's a good question, Dominique. And it's a question that, you know, you shouldn't look for the answers on your own, but speak to us.
Is it to do with training to be a healer exclusively, or is it as much part of a journey?
It's part of a journey, really. I mean, if you want to end up being a healer afterwards, then you're well prepared for that. But if it's something, you know, if you just, not, I don't even want to say just, but if you're a spiritual seeker or someone who's looking for a different way to relate, it's a beautiful training. And just, even if you don't become a healer, it's still a useful thing in your life. I use the principles a lot in my own work, my job. And I also use them, when I was raising my kids, it really kind of put things in a whole different perspective. So it was useful for that. And just your own personal growth, because you're really look at a lot of things in a different way, and it really kind of jolts things a little bit. So it's excellent for that.
Well, I'm a teacher. I teach adults, and I come in contact with lots of people, and I have a bit of a reputation for being a bit of a toughie. But I'm I know that when you connect with people, it's really, really important. You're really inputting into their lives, especially when people are trying to learn something. And I think it would be I'm always looking at the way I teach, even though it's very practical what I teach. So I think it's like you're saying with your children or that sort of thing, it informs you maybe.
Yes.
And how much time and work is involved?
So it's typically, not typically, it is a 4-year process. Just worry about the first year if you look too far ahead. And it is 4 weekends a year. The first year, there's 3-day weekends. And then the next 2 years, it's 4 days. But again, only 4 times a year. And it's not as though you're getting, tons of homework or anything like that. I mean, life is your homework, really. So I will say that the days that you're in class are pretty intense, just because there's so many new ways to see things and so much to kind of unpack. But it's not, I don't know, onerous. If that's something that would, scare you off.
Yeah, may I add something, Beth? It's, it's not the training about getting to understand things in your mind. Like, I have to learn ideas and principles. I have to learn steps and all this. It's more like a training of a transmission that affects each and every cell of your body, all your bodies, not just physical. And it's like Beth said, there's literally, I don't remember we got any homework in 4 years. Jason would say from time to time, read this or read that, but it was never checked up whether this was done or not. And I personally had some issues with writing down everything, because I have to remember everything from my, school years experience. And by the end of the 3rd year, I realized I don't really have to write down things, because I received them on a different level. But the time, like Beth says, during the class can be very intense. And, in between classes, things will start to happen. So it's important that you have support, and you will have support from Beth and me, and we will have assistance with Beth. You will have support from them, and you will find your own helpers on this path. You will have classmates. They are really, really tight connections between classmates that are developing during this training.
And is it all going to be in person?
We are aiming for that. We are aiming for doing it in person. Of course, if another huge pandemic wave happens and everything logs down, which I believe cannot really happen again in the same extension that happened a year and a half ago. But if that happens, then we will deal with that when it happens. But the aim is to have it in person.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And where will that be? Sorry, you might have said that already.
Yeah, it will be in Slovenia, the coastal area of Slovenia. We picked that, well, the one reason is because I'm from here, so it's easier to organize everything. And the second is that coastal area of Slovenia is also quite well connected with the airports in Italy. Not so much with Slovenian airport, but you know, there's Trieste very close. There's Venice Airport International very close. Treviso International Airport very close. And with shuttle, it's easy to access. It's like, you know, 20 minutes, 30 minutes drive from the Trieste Airport to Slovenian coast.
Mhm.
A little longer from Venice, but because we also aim internationally, we're looking for, you know, the area there. And it's a beautiful, and Slovenian coast is beautiful. Not only because I'm from here, it really is. Yeah. And it's also price, you know, prices are a bit lower than some other areas in Europe.
Mhm.
Thank you for all the questions, Liz.
Oh, that's right. They're all very practical, I can tell as I'm asking.
Well, that's
okay.
important. That's important, you know. That's important. It's like what Beth taught today, you know, it's part of everyday life, you know. And if we don't do that, what the fuck are we talking about then, you know? It's important. All these practical things are important. Although, you know, we were just talking, Beth, can I share about, you know,
Yes, of
people
course.
asking how much it costs? We don't like to share the price before we meet someone in person, one-on-one, because there are two possible, you know, things that get in a different direction. And one is, you know, someone might not decide for this training because when they hear about the costs and they say, oh my God, I cannot afford this, they might not apply, but we want to apply them. And, you know, if they have financial difficulties, we want to talk with them. And we had one case already when somebody wanted to apply and it felt like they are just looking for something affordable. They were not really interested in the, you know, content of the training. So this is also the case that we don't want. We really want to meet with you first, and then everything else can be, you know, talked through. Anybody else has question or thoughts? Dominique?
Yes, one more. Do you have some questions that we should ask for myself? That I should ask myself for when I'm thinking about this, or am I thinking about to apply to this? You know, do you have some questions prepared?
You mean the questions that we will ask you, or the questions that
yes,
you
maybe
should
that
ask?
I should ask myself
Yeah.
about this. You know, if I'm like prepared for this to do this work, to do this 4-year education. You know, I don't know, I don't have the idea I try to visualize what is it about, and I don't get this picture, you know. And maybe I could get the picture if I ask myself some questions about this, or I don't know, in this direction.
You want to go, Beth? Or
I'm thinking. I mean, really? Just are you looking for something? Are you looking for a change or a new way of looking at things? It's not about like, oh, have I had enough, you know, am I spiritual enough, or have I had enough training in that? No, it's more about, are you looking for something? That's, I think, the question, really. And you know what? We'll have some more of these webinars, and you know, we will be improving and with everyone, and you'll learn a little bit more about the whole process with each one. So I would say that keep coming and see if it still interests you. And yeah. Okay.
This is enough for me. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
and also, you know, we just started our website, nkheurope.com, and we plan to, you know, post some articles and, of course, all the videos of our webinars. And just keep coming to the website and read the stuff on the website and allow yourself to be curious, to be intrigued, and then write to us.
I'm kind of.
Thank you.
Okay, go on, Charles.
I was uncertain whether I would arrive today, and I'm sitting here curious about my internal process, about whether I might want to have a conversation about joining the program. So that's something I will continue by myself, and who knows. But it's an interesting dialogue. But two very specific but different questions. One is that the program that you will be teaching, is this the core NKH program as Jason would have taught it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good.
We were granted permission to teach from Jason. We both did the basic NKH training, teacher training, and a lot of other advanced trainings as well to get to this point.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'd imagined today, but it's just wanted looking for confirmation of that. And a very practical question: where the location where the program will be held? What is the nature of the facility where you do this?
Yeah, this is going to be a hotel.
Okay.
It's a rather small hotel in Slovenian coast in Strunjan. It's a small bay, actually, that is private. I mean, we will not have the whole hotel for ourselves, but there is a huge part of the hotel, very pleasant to be there. Rooms can be rented in hotel. They have apartments that can be rented. And there is, because this is the tourist area, there is a lot of private apartments and Airbnbs and things like that for people to stay. But it will be in hotel. We rented the hall. We will have lunch together in that hotel, and a lot of places for spending, you know, free time with each other in the evenings, you know, going to town. In September, in early September, there's still possibility to swim in the sea. And when we have class in June, it's very nice. Yeah.
So that leads me to another question. So two of the teaching periods would be September and June. What would the other two be then?
September, December, March, and June. Actually, the first two, we've just decided about dates yesterday with Beth, because we had two different options. So the dates will be published on our website very soon, but I can share them with you now.
Okay, I don't need to put. I was just looking for generality, but maybe other people would like to know them specifically.
Yeah, it's September, early November, March, and June. These are the dates for the first year.
Yeah.
So the first and second class are rather close, but that's because we couldn't get reservation in the hotel later in November. But then the idea was to have like 3 months time between one and the second class.
I get you. Yeah, so you don't have the long traditional school break that you would get in other trainings.
No.
No. That's okay. I'm just curious to know. It helps my mental mindset as I reflect upon it.
Okay. Good. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay. Well, thank you all for coming and for giving us the chance to share this with you. I hope that it was helpful and that you've come away with something, new understanding, new things to think about. And hopefully you'll come to another one if you're interested. And if you have any questions or anything about what we've covered, or if something's coming up for you, please feel free to reach out. You can reach Tadeja or I at, Beth at nkheurope.com or Tadeja at that same address. And we will get back to you as soon as possible. So thank you, everyone.
And reserve November 13. This is the dates of our next webinar.
Yes.
You will be invited. It will be published on our website. Okay.
Right.
So
thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the great time.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Beth,
Bye.
stay online when everyone's
Yes,
gone.
I will.